Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen. It's the last one, everyone. How do we feel? How's it going? I know some of you are freaking out a little bit about some last minute things. It's okay. Again, because it is a little last minute, I may not have been able to see it. So just let me know if I call in your group, just let me know, hey, I sent you a message, we'll be going later and that'll be fine. Okay, awesome. Can everyone see my screen? Nope. Cool. And thank you all for being on camera. Makes the experience a little more special. So welcome everyone to the Youth for Justice Summer Institute final session. This is session 10. Let's do a big round of applause for everyone. You can do it in chat too. What do we do in chat? Like I mentioned, this is our final session. We have some really exciting presentations by you all coming up. We also have some people joining us. So actually, real quick, it looks like we can go ahead, move forward onto the next slide. So the meeting agenda looks pretty straightforward. We're just gonna, have our typical welcome, check-in. We're gonna have a short keynote speech, about 10 minutes from, well, I won't tell you who it's from yet, but that'll be coming up. Then we'll be going through all of your presentations. I sent you all that really long email. Your presentation should not be that long, should be maybe around 5 minutes. I know some of you are having last minute hiccups. If you don't get to 5 minutes, don't worry about it. Again, this is not meant to stress anybody out. I know some of you are back in school, and I know it being online presents added challenges. So don't worry about it. Just present what you have with the people that you have, and then we'll go from there, okay? And then we're gonna go ahead and do some closing. We're gonna do a little bit of celebrating together, and that'll close out our Youth for Justice Summer Institute here with Siren. Does anyone have any questions before we move along? Nope? Okay. So right now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Marisela Gutierrez. Marisela is the executive director here at Siren and has led the organization for the past, I believe, like 5 or 6 years, Marisela?
5.
5? Yeah, doing a tremendous job, really pushing for us to have a well thought out youth program and, really making this a key piece of what Siren does. So if you'd all give Marisela a virtual round of applause, that'd be great.
Thank you so much, Nico. Honestly, you, Vanessa, and Christina should be the ones to thank and lead this, getting all the kudos, because it's been such a great program to watch from afar. I think it's one of my favorites so far, to see just what a phenomenal work you guys have done this summer. I'm so impressed, and I'm so looking forward to the presentations. I saw a little bit on Instagram, some of the posts, so I'm excited to see what you guys got to share with all of us. But, just want to thank all of you. I know that we are literally living through a global pandemic, right? And never in a million years did any of us imagine that we would be doing school from our bedrooms, right? Or working from our bedrooms. I know it's been such a challenge for many of us, and you as youth should be out in your school celebrating, meeting friends, so I give all my love and support to you all during this difficult time. And I just want to honor you all for just sticking through this program, in spite of all the different things you guys were balancing this summer, and some of you have started school. You've seen it through the end. And it's been, I think, Nico calculated almost 1,000 hours that you guys have put in by the number of hours you meet every week, twice a week, right? Every Tuesday, Friday, coming together, sharing you guys' comments. The chat box has been really live, and I see how much engagement there is and how much you guys really appreciate this program. And so when we started the youth program 5 years ago, when I came on board with Siren, which is such an honor to do this work, you know, as a team, we lead the immigrant refugee rights movement in an era of the most racist president in the history of the U.S., right? To really see the most horrific things happen to our families and our loved ones and to our fellow immigrants and refugees, to be placed in cages for young children, families being separated, to see our immigration law just completely being dismantled, right? An asylum law. And then the fight for DACA continues. So much is going on. It's such an honor for us to say that we are a part of a movement that is fighting for change. And I don't take that lightly or for granted. I am very honored to do this work. I know as well as the rest of the team at Siren that we do feel that we make a difference every day to fight for social change and social justice and to create a more just world for the immigrants and refugees that are right now under attack, especially undocumented folks living in the US and those that are fleeing from their countries. So 5 years ago, we knew that young people are the future. We've always known that, but 5 years ago, we realized that we needed to create a component to Siren that elevated the voice of young people, that put young people at the forefront of our work, that we train the next leaders, right? So a good example of that is like Nico, who came on board and helped us launch the first summer youth program and was part of the launching of the youth program overall. And now he's back working with Siren, and that's really the dream of Siren and myself, is to see that cycle and that pipeline grow, to see young people grow within the movement, learn key skills. I know we didn't focus a lot on organizing, but if you continue to be a part of the program, you will learn more about that through the year, because we do more campaign, we go a little bit deeper into organizing, into mobilizing. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of digital organizing since we're in COVID time and can't really be on the ground with our communities. And we'll do a lot more relational organizing. And so when we created this program, we knew that we wanted to build that pipeline. And so that's how this program came, because we knew we wanted to one day, all of us, pass the baton on to someone like you. You know, I would love for one of you guys to be executive director of Siren one day, or another immigrant rights organization, or another nonprofit fighting for social change. Siren was founded by organizers and attorneys, and they were API and Latino. And that's what I really loved about Siren, that it was a multiracial movement. It wasn't just Latino-led, it wasn't just Black-led API, but it was really multiracial people coming together, showing unity and showing that together we're gonna rise and create change for our communities. And so that's been completely the motivation and inspiration for me for the work that we do, is that seeing that we're coming together in an intersectional manner, in an intergenerational format now, because now we have young people that are organizing, right? And that we are also doing it in a multiracial platform. Like just looking at the screen, I mean, there's so much diversity that I see, so much beauty from you all. And I know that this is just the beginning for you guys of so much more to come. We're gonna overcome this situation, you know? We're gonna overcome this racist president. We're gonna overcome this fascism that we're experiencing right now. We're gonna continue to fight for racial justice, because we know without racial justice, we can't have immigrant justice. And we're gonna stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. We're gonna stand in solidarity with those who continue to be in cages to fight for their freedom. And until we're all free, and that's really the movement that we're building with Siren. We know that it's not a movement of tomorrow, but a movement of a lifetime. And I love to say the quote that Angela Davis says, where she says that freedom is a constant struggle, right? Just when you think that you've overcome something, someone else comes along. And so the fight for us, it's a long-term battle, and that we, in the pathway or el camino that we do to create social change, we also have to be mindful that we have to do self-care. We have to take care of our bodies. We got to take care of our mind, our soul, and feed our soul and rejuvenate, because this is a long-term struggle, a long-term battle, and freedom will always be a constant struggle. So you, as young people that have completed this program, We need you guys to come out and vote in 2020. It's such an important year for those of you that can vote to vote. If you haven't registered, please register to vote. There's so many places you can do that. It's so easy. You're gonna see Siren posting a whole lot of it. We're gonna have some really cool swag to get out the vote. That's gonna be so awesome. So if you get involved with our work, you'll get some Siren swag. For those of you that know family members that haven't completed the census, please encourage them to do so. You guys had a presentation about the census by Azucena earlier in the summer. It's such an important way to count our communities. It shows our determination. It shows our self-determination. And in order for us to show that resources matter for low, poor working income communities, that resources should be allocated to farm workers that are now out in the fields working around fires, you know, basically risking their lives around fires. Not only are they fighting a global pandemic by feeding us, but they're also fighting like fires, right? So in order to create a more just world for them, we need to be counted in the census and we need to vote. So when we're voting, we're thinking beyond ourselves. We're thinking about the people that can't vote. We're thinking about the people that can't show up to the polls, the people who are incarcerated that can't vote, the people who are in detention, who are looking for more social justice in their lives and liberation. So that's my granito de arena, my little grain of salt to you all, is to please vote, get out the vote, talk to others about it, get involved with Siren. There's a lot more ways for you guys to stay involved by joining the program that's going to continue meeting year long. I know some of you applied for the youth fellow position. Congratulations on applying, and we will definitely continue to be in touch. Join our voter registration and phone banking. We're doing a lot of that. If you applied, you should have been getting some calls and emails from us. And so there's still room for you to apply and be involved. There's always room for people in the movement, whether you're organizing behind the scenes, whether you're in the microphone or, you know, speaking in front of a crowd or meeting individually one-on-one. There's room for everyone in the movement. We also need people who fundraise. We also need people who think digitally. We need people like Nico's brain who knows about technology, you know, so there's room for everyone in the movement. And I encourage you to find what that pathway is for you. Again, thank you to all of you. I know we're gonna get started with the presentations. That's the most important, you know, piece of today. And a big thank you to Nico, Vanessa, and Christina, you know, for holding it down this summer and just putting on a phenomenal program. Like, kudos to them. If you guys can do like shout outs, I know we can't really do that, but like do some reactions for them. Just lots of love to Nico, Vanessa, and Christina for the great work that they did this summer. And more to come. Please stay in touch. I'll put my email if any of you guys ever want to do a coffee chat or want to reach out to me for anything. I'm more than happy to be of support to you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Marisela, for the kind words. Yeah, you know, we love to do it, right? That's why we're all here. Great. So I'm going to take this chance real quick because I know that we have some new people joining us from the Siren team who, you know, have not been able to join us before. I see that Connie is on. So Connie, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself real quick to everyone.
Hi, everybody. It's lovely to see your faces. I'm Connie. This is my first week on the job. I'm the new deputy director. And so I'm really happy that I've had the chance to actually join you for the very, very last session that you have. I've heard incredible things. And I know that you guys are going to be such amazing foot soldiers and leaders and all that stuff for the movement, and because there's a lot of work to do, as Marisela said. So I'm here also as a resource. Anytime you guys want to reach out, I know it's weird since I'm just meeting you for the first time, but yeah, thank you so much for all the incredible work and dedication to the program that, you know, that you've had over this past summer. So yeah, all props to you guys.
Thank you, Connie. And I'm not sure if Priya is on. I don't know if that's you on the phone. Maybe not. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Connie, for introducing yourself. We're going to go ahead and move right along to the presentations. So let me go over some things real quick. So there is an order. I decided that it was going to be easier for me to show it all to you because I don't want to share anyone's like personal information on the spreadsheet, in case, some people don't want it out there. So I'm going to go ahead and call the person who's the first person to register in that form. So if you're in that team, I'm going to go ahead and give you the permission to share your screen. And then again, should be around 5 minutes. If you go a little over, no worries. If it's under than that, no worries. And then just make sure that you have one of your team members keeping an eye on chat, because that's where Vanessa is going to be going ahead and giving you your sort of like 2 minutes, 1 minute left. Again, this is supposed to be fun, supposed to be just not stressful for anyone, right? So just go ahead and show us what you have. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Or real quick, does anyone have any questions? No? So again, I know that some of you sent me private messages, and I know that some of you sent me emails. So I went ahead and put you at the end of the list because I know that you had some things pop up. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get started with Daniela Rios's group, and I believe Kelly and Jacqueline are in the group as well. Are you all here?
Yeah, we're here.
Awesome. You can go ahead and share your screen now. Or let me stop. Oops. You can go ahead and share your screen now. And just start off by going ahead and letting everyone know your name, and maybe what school or what you do right now.
Okay, I can go first. My name is Jacqueline Canchola. I go to Redwood High School. I'm from the Central Valley, and I'm a senior.
My name's Daniela Rios. I live in Santa Clara County, and I go to Santa Teresa High School.
My name is Kelly. I go to Piedmont Hills High School, and I'm going to be a high school senior.
Okay, so this is our presentation. We did do Instagram highlights, but we're just presenting it in Canva because it's easier to read and see for everyone. And so that's why there's some spots where it's like place a sticker. So if you check out our IG highlights, then the stickers and stuff are actually on there. So I think Kelly will start then.
Yeah, so we kind of wanted to make this really fun and interactive for our viewers. So we wanted to start off with, how much do you know about immigrants in the US, ICE, other like legal policies, and specifically how immigrants play such a huge role in our society and economy, just to see or just to gauge where people are in terms of how much they know about immigrant rights. And on the next slide, actually, yeah, we in the box, we tag Siren's Instagram account, and then we kind of break down how Siren, or our presentation is going to present, debunk, and explain knowing your rights. And then our first question, of course, is what should you do if ICE shows up at your door? And you can see from the sticker, we have a couple of options. One is opening the door and asking them to identify themselves as ICE. 2, bearing arms in defense. 3, planning an escape route. And 4, waiting inside away from the door and asking for a warrant. And then the last one's obviously the correct one.
Okay, so these are the slides where we explain what you do when you encounter ICE at home. And so I had described what the warrants were, and then I have 2 columns of what to do if they don't have a judicial warrant and what to do if they do have a judicial warrant.
I think I actually skipped a slide, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay, don't worry about it. So this is the initial slide to make sure that people know what a judicial and an ICE warrant is, because a lot of people don't know what the warrants are, because personally, when we had the Know Your Rights presentation, I had no clue that there were different warrants, and I thought if they came out your door, you had to automatically open it. So this is basically informing whoever sees it which is the correct warrant and which warrant is valid for you to open the door or have somebody go outside. The next slide after. Okay. So this is what you do when you encounter ice in a car. And I do have a list of things to do and the phrase that you're supposed to repeat loud and clear so that they hear you and that they know that you have rights. And this is what you do if you encounter ICE at work. And I did also add what an I-9 audit was because I do know that a lot of people also don't know what that is. And I personally, again, didn't know what that was. And I did include a barcode or a QR code with a link to a website that has a bunch of information on how to prepare, what to do if you're an employer that's about to face an I-9 audit or have ICE come to your workplace. And I thought it would be really helpful to a lot of people. And this is what you do if you encounter ICE in a public place. So I have 2 columns again to separate yes and no after you ask if you're free to go, because it's really important to know that you should stay calm and that you shouldn't run away. And there's the phrase again that you say to them if they ever ask you questions.
Okay, so moving on from these these amazing examples, of knowing your rights for immigrants and undocumented individuals. So of course, undocumented immigrants must be aware of their rights because ICE, as we know, has taken on a lot of unethical tactics, which put a lot of individuals at risk to be deported very quickly and have their lives essentially upended. And so one of the issues here is that immigrants lack support to combat these injustices because of harmful myths in American society, pretty much, that create a negative image of them. So right now we'll be do a little bit of debunking of these sort of myths. So one of these myths is that undocumented immigrants do not pay taxes, and we definitely myth busted this in some other sessions during the summer. And basically, undocumented immigrants contribute billions every year in federal and state taxes in both red and blue states, and this really helps to fund our Social Security and Medicare programs. Another myth is that immigrants take away jobs from American workers, but the reality of the fact is that immigrants often do the labor that native-born Americans otherwise wouldn't do. And also because they open businesses, they spend their income income on services and goods, and they also pay taxes. They help to make the economy stronger and sort of increase productivity. Okay, so this is the second page for myth versus fact. So another myth is that illegal immigration is on the rise or has been on the rise, but the reality is that in the last century, even the overall
I think Jacqueline might be frozen, but she was.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. So I was just kind of myth busting this myth here. And the reality is that studies show that immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than native-born Americans. And also cities or sanctuary cities actually statistically have lower crime rates than non-sanctuary cities. Okay, and so of course, keeping undocumented immigrants safe and informed by telling them their rights is a top priority, but the ultimate goal is to abolish ICE. ICE was created after 9/11 amid massive waves of xenophobia, and we know that ICE uses rush removal tactics. They have a rubber stamp system which ignores any individual circumstances like family or jobs. It tears families apart, and also imposes huge cost to Americans. So we know that we can implement policies to keep borders secure and also keep immigrants safe without having to have these civil and human rights abuses from ICE. And then I believe that these next slides are resources. So we have QR codes again for some petitions that are working to abolish ICE. And then lastly, we had another page of resources. These are printables and contacts designed for undocumented people or people who want to help undocumented people. So we have our red cards, which Siren provided to us, and then also some resources and contacts for undocumented individuals in any state of the nation. And that is the conclusion of our presentation.
Awesome. That was so well done. I'm actually super, super impressed. Not that I expected anything less, but this is really good. Did anyone, maybe we have time for like maybe 1 or 2 questions. I don't know if anyone wants to ask a question. Okay, let me go ahead. Next group up is going to be Sovani's group. And I think it's Sovani Nazrin, correct?
Yes.
You're both here? Awesome. And go ahead.
Wait, do you see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I'm Sawani. I'm an upcoming junior at University of San Francisco.
Nazrin, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sorry, it just gave out.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, so my name is Nasir Rahim. I'm currently a junior at San Jose State University. I'm studying business marketing. And we're gonna talk about the USPS. So our presentation is Save the USPS. Anyone can help save USPS despite whether you're able to vote or not. Voting affects everyone regardless of your immigration status. So our first little IG highlight slide is a text conversation. So it's kind of just to lure in the viewers so they can kind of be enticed to view the next slides. And then at the bottom, we just have voter suppression is real.
So what is happening with the USPS? At this time, President Trump is blocking funds for the United States Postal Service because he is afraid the mail-in votes will cost him the election. His plan is to privatize the USPS in the long run, and additionally, COVID-19 has undoubtedly affected USPS's operations.
And then people would kind of question, why does voting really matter, especially for immigration or immigrants? So we have a couple of reasons listed out over here. It interferes with elections results, and it takes away everyone's First Amendment that you're entitled to. It also privatizes the USPS, which means that small businesses will be hit hard and they won't be able to continue their operations as is. It'll also affect the 18% of Americans that still pay their bills by mail and the 52% of Americans that get their medications delivered. It's really crucial for small businesses. And it's also very important for immigrant, indigenous, remote, low-income communities, elderly communities, and people with disabilities, because they rely on the USPS for shipment, for mail, if they can't get used to email or other things.
So how does this affect immigrants? One of the first reasons is that it takes away affordable services provided by USPS, such as accessible PO boxes, cheaper shipping methods, and medications and other shipments. Another reason is for every 10,000 immigrants to the US, about 62 will start a business. So that means small businesses will definitely have to depend on USPS, and what we learned in the past about the economy and how much immigrants bring to the US. And another reason for how this affects immigrants is that even if you aren't able to vote, advocacy is easy to get connected with. Political campaigns are always looking for volunteers.
And this is especially important because you don't have to be a citizen to get involved with political campaigns. You can just help out. You can mail postcards, you can phone bank, you can really get involved in your own communities, because a lot of local councilmen that councilmen or women want to get elected, you can get involved with them by just looking on their website or their Instagram, and they're always looking for volunteers. Also, voting is also an easy way for any community member to get involved. since it's really important for educational issues and it can make a big impact and ensure the success of your community. You can help get propositions passed that really affect your schools or your community. There's a lot of environmental issues that can also get involved in elections. And if mail-in ballots are delayed because the USPS may be defunded, our votes that affect these immigrant communities won't be counted. And it's just every community as well, because we do need our votes to count. But if you don't mail in your ballot by a certain time, it could get delayed, and this could cause a whole lot of issues, and the votes won't get counted. So please try to vote early.
These are going to be the 3 action items you can do right now, and we're going to show them in the next slide.
So we really wanted to make it accessible for people to see. So ideally, if this was like on an Instagram account, we would have like a link tree in the bio so they could click on the links. So for this one, it's just buy stamps or merchandise from the USPS store. And there's a little graphic right there for people to look at.
And then another thing that we wanted to do was sign this petition to save the USPS. We have a bit.ly/save postal, so everyone can type that in their Safari or Google Chrome. And then another one right here, change.org/save the USPS. And another really easy way is to text USPS to 50409. And I put this graphic here, US not for sale. So it just shows.
And there's also the newly appointed postmaster named Louis DeJoy, and he had issued a memo on July 10th about pivoting our future, saying that workers should leave mail behind to cut down on overtime costs because he's trying to save money, which also hurts many small businesses and consumers and people in general. So our last action item is to just send a letter to remove Louis DeJoy. We have a cute little bit.ly right there that you could potentially click on in our link tree, and then the little graphic that you can look at. And if you do want to see more information, just go to the bit.ly and you can see the petition and read more about the issue.
And right here we have a list of resources immigrants community can go to. So for example, we have the California Immigrant Policy Center, we have Siren, and then we also have Partnership for New Americans, Fair Immigration Reform Movement, We Are All America, and we're just saying to check out local campaigns for your council people and get involved.
And to end off our little Instagram story, we have a quote from Angela Davis. I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was pretty amazing. I'm super, super impressed so far. Great, great job. I don't know if anyone had any questions. Again, maybe we have quite a time for 1 or 2 questions if you have any. Okay. I think we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Fantastic job again. Next up is Shekinah's group with Thomas, Daniela Costa, and I believe Jennifer. Are you all here?
Yeah, I'll be the one sharing the screen.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Real quick, I'm going to be sending out an email to you all on how to share, if you're willing to share all this with us, share your content with us like that. It's just easier.
Okay.
Awesome. Take it off. Or take it away, sorry.
So our presentation, we decided to do it on an IG story. So we had GIFs and all that fun stuff. So I heard you wanted to abolish ICE.
Real quick, can all of you introduce yourselves? Sorry.
Oh yeah, of course. My name is Jennifer Ulloa, and I'm working with.
Hi, my name is Daniela.
Hi, my name is Shekinah.
Hi, I'm Thomas.
Okay, so basically what my role in this presentation is why does ICE suck so much at what they do? Okay, so ICE doesn't provide remotely fair opportunities for immigrants to fight for their right to stay in the US, and how they do that is here by, whether it's by accident or on purpose, they send notices of court hearings to the wrong addresses. And why is that important? Okay, so when immigrants don't know that they have a court address, they often tend to miss it. And then the court will look at it and they will file a order of deportation by absentia because the immigrant did not present themselves at court. So ICE's lack of management leads to people not even knowing they have an order of deportation. And then here we have it saying, get it together, people. Okay, so the second part of why ICE is such a problem is their intimidation, wait, give me one sec. Intimidation practices. Okay, so as we saw earlier, this is how a judicial warrant should look like, signed by a judge, and this is how a judicial warrant does not look like. So what ends up happening is that ICE officers usually knock on doors or perform ICE raids without the proper documents, and they often end up tricking immigrants. So here's a quote, and when I read it, I was like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. You should be uncomfortable. You should look over your shoulder. You need to be worried. No population is off the table. That was 2017 Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So this just backs up the claim that it creates an atmosphere of fear. Okay, so the last slide of why ICE is such a big problem in our community is, I think, something more commonly known of the detention centers. So here we have the excess use of solitary confinement, and it's not even justified. Here you can see some of the reasons that people have spoken up about, and it's because they want to punish immigrants for kissing, for hunger strikes, or even just because they're members of the LGBTQ community. And then moving on, the detention centers are such unhygienic environments, especially when we're considering that we are in a global pandemic. Okay, so then some brave people have come up and shared their stories of detention centers and their experience, and they say that they've had a lack of running water, bathroom facilities not being cleaned, denied use of showers, and bug infections. And then when we focus in society, not even in detention centers, it's already so hard for people to consider abortion a reproductive health care, an essential health care. So when we dive into detention centers, it's even harder. It targets POC women, it targets low-income women, and it targets LGBTQ women. Okay.
ICE has committed many human rights violations. It's said that they have treated them at worse than prisoners of war. The third convention of the Convention 3 of Article 31 of the Geneva Convention requires routine medical inspections to be held at least once a month in prisoner of war camps. And at least 3,000 to 6,000 detainees need mental health treatment, and many nooses made from bed sheets have been found in their cells in 2018. The babies are fed with unwashed bottles, and there's no diapers, soap, or toothpaste, which leads to a severe lack of hygiene. The changes of clothes, laundry facilities, and showers are slim to none, and there are many unsanitary conditions which have contributed to outbreaks of disease, flu, lice, and chickenpox. The overcrowded centers have led to some detainees standing for up to 24 hours a day, and they've been served spoiled food and meals and even meals that violate their religious beliefs. You almost heard it. Article 25 of the Third Geneva Convention requires there to be at least 90 square feet of living space and beds and blankets, which the detainees in the detention centers are not receiving at all. They sleep on concrete floors covered by only thin sheets of plastic and space blankets. And the lack of sleeping space is also due to how overpopulated they are.
ICE under Trump. So Donald Trump signed an executive order in 2017, which was his first week in office, expanding ICE's focus to include most undocumented immigrants living in the country regardless of their criminal record. Due to this, the agency made 37,734 non-criminal arrests in the government's 2017 fiscal year, which was twice the number in 2016. Also, as we all know, Donald Trump administration tried to take away DACA, which protects young documented immigrants, and the Supreme Court decision invalidated his first attempt. And also, Trump ended policy and refused to let private orgs or individuals volunteer to fill gaps. And you can see in these pictures that the number of deportation cases increased from George Bush's year, and then Barack Obama's, and then Donald Trump's. So the Abolish ICE movement, ICE was created in 2003 after the 9/11 attacks as an attempt to protect America from immigration that threatens national security and public safety. The movement was made in summer of 2018 with the idea of grassroots immigrant rights. With much support behind the movement was formed because of the family separations between migrant children and their parents, and also the inhumane living conditions. The original idea was to make a reform, but it was deemed radical as it was clear that nothing would change, and which led to the abolishment movement. And AOC has become a well-known advocate for abolishing ICE and stated it's time to abolish ICE, clear the path to citizenship, and protect the rights of families to remain together. And the ultimate goal of abolishing ICE is to clear pathways to citizenship.
This last slide is, so let's say we've abolished ICE. Now what's next? ICE exists to police and disincentivize illegal immigration. So abolishing ICE is step one. We must look to America's current path to permanent residency and or naturalization as the other barrier that incentivizes immigrating without going through the institutional channel. So it shouldn't take decades to receive a green card. Like people like who are immigrants shouldn't have to marry to receive green card status quicker because the system itself takes too long. We shouldn't have these people put themselves in situations that endanger themselves to like a power imbalance because of their immigration status with a partner who could leverage that against them in a domestic violence relationship. We should make sure that we can check all these debates about like policy discussions on having highly educated people have priority to getting green card status or to getting naturalization, because then again, like those sort of policies still favor the privilege and not the people in the communities abroad that really need the citizenship or the green card status the most. So it's important that we sort of check these people and cut through all these coded discussions, and that we make sure that we push policy to go along with abolishing ICE. Because right now in the Senate, it's kind of sad that we don't have an AOC who's really pushing for abolishing ICE, and that the most radical, quote unquote, person who's really even considering abolishing ICE is Kamala Harris. Like we should have an AOC in the Senate pushing for all these policy changes.
Okay, so that marks the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. These are all so good. Real quick, can I just have your group share what schools you attend and what cities you're from?
Yeah, of course. So I go to Willow Glen High School and I'm from San Jose.
I'm from San Jose and I'm a first year at New York University.
I'm from Clovis and I go to Clovis High School.
I'm from San Ramon and I'm a senior at California High School.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Wow, Willow Glen, that's so close. It's like down the street. Awesome. Let's go ahead. Does anyone have any questions before we move along? Awesome. Up next is Larissa's group. I know you asked me to put you a little later. I see that you're on. Larissa, are you okay to go now?
Yeah, and I'll be
Yeah?
sharing.
Awesome. Go ahead. And then same thing, if your group can go ahead, share your name, school, and city, that'd be great as well. Thank you.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Larissa, and I am a first year at the University of California, Berkeley, and I'm from Sacramento.
All right, I'll go next. My name is Angelica. I'm from San Jose, and I go to Independence High School, and I'm a sophomore.
My name is Leslie. I'm from Watsonville, and I'll be a first year at Cabrillo College.
Sebastian, are you able to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, sorry, it's because I'm using the audio through my phone because the microphone for my laptop doesn't work. But
Okay.
hi everyone, Sebastian. I'm a third year at UCLA.
And what city were you from?
I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Nice. Awesome. Go ahead.
Okay. So hello everyone again. Our group has decided to focus on the abolishment of ICE. So what is ICE? ICE stands for the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It is one of 3 agencies in the Department of Homeland Security. It is also made up of 3 offices: the Enforcement and Removal Operations, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Office of the Principal Legal Advisor. Originally, their goal was to protect the U.S. from cross-border threats on national security and public safety. However, it is now infamously known for their inhumane treatment of immigrants at the detainment centers.
So I think that a conversation that a lot of us really have is that we always put the fault on the Republican Party for the immigration problem that's happening. So which party is really at fault? Is it the Democrats or the Republicans? So we're going to look at both sides. So the Republican Party, we all know that George Bush is literally at fault for creating ICE, which we all know terrorizes immigrant families every single day. And he's responsible for what's happening right now at the borders. And Donald Trump, I mean, I literally had to put all the different policies that he put, and I wasn't even able to write the whole explanation. But we all know about his zero tolerance policy, how hard his immigration policies have become. And actually just in the first 8 months that he was actually president, ICE arrests went up by 48%, which is a lot. Obviously we know about the family separation and how horrible that has been. And then he tried to get the Supreme Court to actually pretty much end DACA, which protects 700,000 recipients in this country. And it was just a very, very scary moment for a lot of people. And his Muslim ban, which is literally ridiculous. You know, it's all these kinds of policies are so ridiculous. But I think that there's also another conversation that we forget to have, and that's that the Democratic Party has also played a big role in the crisis that is happening. If we look at Bill Clinton, Operation Gatekeeper, the reason why so many immigrants continue to die in the desert and continue to actually die of thirst and heat stroke is because of a Democratic president, Bill Clinton, who introduced Operation Gatekeeper, which was to be prevention through deterrence. And then AEDPA was another policy that really deported more immigrants because even things such as doing sex work could get you deported. You know, it made it a little bit easier for you to get deported. And then obviously I think that to some of us it might be a surprise, to some of us it might not, but also Barack Obama, he was actually the deporter in chief, which means that he actually deported more immigrants than any other president in the history of this country. And so, but he implemented DACA. I think that a lot of us are like, you know, that's great. You know, he definitely put DACA in, and it's great. You know, that definitely helped. But when he was elected president in 2008, he had a Democratic Congress, meaning that he had a Democratic House and he had a Democratic Senate, which could have easily passed immigration reform. And there wouldn't have to be no one would have to be put in that position of waiting for a Supreme Court decision. So, you know, Democrat or Republican, immigration has been impacted by both parties. But then we have people like AOC and Bernie Sanders, which I think that a lot of us really relate to and really appreciate because they actually put forth radical immigration policies that can actually help the community.
So I'm going to talk about ICE's budget. Going into this, when I searched this up, it was so confusing just because I feel like I'm pretty sure ICE lies to the government about where their money goes. But last year they got about $8 billion, which is insane. But they always overspend money and they always ask Congress for more money and they always receive it, which is really bad. They actually took money away from the NRA just to give it to ICE. And I was trying to search up what they were using like the money for, and some of the things made sense, like flights and like officers and trainings for the officers. But then I saw things like 2.8 billion for detention beds. I'm pretty sure we've all seen the pictures of the detention centers, and there are no beds. And they're just really bad. conditions that these people are living in. So I'm pretty sure that they're hiding something. I'm sure they're not giving us the full picture and of the budget. So let's say that we do abolish ICE and we have this extra money. What could we use the money for? So I kind of took into account our session about education, and I wanted to focus on that. So K through 12 schools, public schools, are honestly, they just lack funding. It's pretty bad. But I wanted to focus on hiring more bilingual teachers and more bilingual counselors to support the non-English speaking students, just because they don't have the same opportunities as English speaking students. They really don't get encouraged to pursue higher education, and they're kind of always excluded. They can't really participate in clubs or in sports just because they don't speak English. So I wanted to talk also about xenophobia. So just in case you guys don't know what it means, it's just the fear or hatred of people who are foreign. And xenophobia, I mean, we're seeing it a lot right now with COVID and, with the border, about how immigrants are criminals and they're rapists, which is pretty much all false. And it's basically centered around that term of our country and how everything, belongs to, the white people. And it doesn't. It's historically inaccurate, which is why it's kind of frustrating. But yeah, we just see that that whole taking away our jobs and taking away our resources, and that, immigrants don't pay for taxes.
So this is just slides on knowing your rights and the rights that you have in your home. To not open the door, remain silent, and do not answer any questions. If they have a warrant, make sure to ask to not open the door, obviously, and to ask them to slide it under the door or show it against the window. And make sure the warrant is signed by a judge and all the information is correct. If it is not, obviously it's not valid. You also have the right to contact a U.S. citizen to inform them on what's going on. And this is part 2. These are the rights you have outside of your home. If you're in a car, in the streets, in a public place, at work, you have the right to remain silent. Remaining silent does not mean you will not be arrested, but it is your right to not give ICE any information that can be held against you. You can ask if you are under arrest or free to leave. If you are free to leave, you can ask to leave. You can also ask to call your lawyer. And some tips are to stay calm, do not run or resist arrest, and keep your hands where the officer can see them.
So human rights violations. Over 30,000 immigrants are currently detained in prisons, jails, and detainment centers, including those who are legal permanent residents, individuals seeking asylum, and survivors of human trafficking. So some human rights abuses that are present include physical and sexual abuse. Detainees have reported sexual abuse over the past years, and the number has only been increasing. Also minimal, if any, medical care. People are often bunched up in groups of more than 50 people per pod, allowing COVID to be spread easily. There are little to no materials of sanitation as well, and many detention centers have even refused to allow testing, so they aren't clear about how many there are. There is also separation of families. Children are often left alone without parental guidance. Oftentimes, when they are released, they are unable to return back to their families due to the loss of communication. And here are some resources where you're able to learn more about immigration and the abolishment of ICE. So there's a good show going out right now. It's called Immigration Nation, and it has recently just came out. So I definitely recommend watching that. There's also a website where we got most of our information from, which is the ACLU website. And you're able to go to other issues that they are also present or they also speak about. And then you just go to immigrant rights. And there's also a book called Abolish ICE by Natasha Alina. And that's the end of our presentation.
Awesome. Fantastic job. I don't know if you all remember, but when we first talked about this, and everyone asked, what if we accidentally do the same topic? And I said it was fine. This is why, because even though we've had abolish ICE 3 times, it's been completely different and covering different parts, right? Really like the part about the budgets as well. Awesome. Did anyone have any questions? I assume not, but I just want to give everyone a chance. If not, we're going to go ahead and move on to Elizabeth's group with, I believe, Alejandra. Are you both here? Elizabeth and Alejandra Magallon. Oh, Alejandra, are you in a different group?
I think there's 2 Alejandras.
Because the next group is Alejandra Magallon, Martha, Francis, and Miguel.
Yeah, that's ours.
That's you? Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on to that group.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Yep. Yeah, same as Nia, everyone is doing so well. Yeah, you can share your screen whenever you're ready. And in the meanwhile, if the rest of your group wants to go ahead and introduce themselves, what schools they attend, what cities they're from.
Wait, that's the. Okay. So I'm Francis. I'm from San Jose, San Jose, and I go to Cristo Rey, and I'm a senior.
And I'm Miguel. I'm a junior from Cristo Rey High School, and I'm from San Jose.
Hi, I'm Alejandra. I'm also a junior, and I go to Cristo Rey, San Jose.
Hi, I'm Martha, and I'm a junior, and I live in San Jose, and I go to Cristo Rey.
Nice.
So to begin, we're going to start with the complications of voting. So this year, the U.S. Postal Service has been having some financial complications. So the way it could affect the voting process is it could interfere with the date of delivery of the voting ballots. One of our second points was with little income, the U.S. Postal Service can't guarantee the delivery of all the voting ballots. And our third one is that Donald Trump could be reelected due to a shift in the voting process. And over the years, there has been some complications with registering to vote. So this affects minorities for the most part. The process of registering to vote has become more complicated over the years with new laws and requirements being placed. An example of this happening is in 2017, Georgia had 70% of their African American voters held behind in the process of voting.
So I thought it was important to add statistics from 2016 on who has voted and who hasn't voted. As you can see, these are some reasons why people haven't voted. And it's important to recognize why they haven't voted so we can help them in the future or in this voting term. Yeah. So an article from CBS, they mentioned how in 2016, the percentage of voting was just down 1% from the participation rate in 2008. And this is all right, but it's not super great. And California also doesn't see the sophisticated reasons to go vote because since it's not a swing state, since we're mostly just a democratic state, people don't really think that they have to go vote. And that affects us because in comparison to other states, our voting rates are much lower than theirs.
Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about the presidential candidates. So Joe Biden is a running mate in the Democratic Party, and he believes in no deportation unless an immigrant committed a felony in the U.S. His goals is also to reunite families and end outrageous treatment in ICE detention centers, as they are unhumane conditions. And he supports DACA and asylum and allowing citizenship for dreamers, which it would allow those dreamers to vote and have a legal status. His VP, Kamala Harris, she believes in welcoming refugees and immigrants from all countries and supports the idea that undocumented immigrants are not criminals. She also supports the idea of extending the DACA program to their parents and for veterans, because a lot of veterans don't have legal status in the U.S. and can only come back to the U.S. until they're dead. For the Donald Trump, he wants to reduce all illegal immigrants. He wants to protect America by banning refugees from terrorist countries, as he calls them, and to reform immigration against refugees and political asylum. And he also wants to strip federal gain money to sanctuary cities. Like there's a lot of them in the U.S. in the Bay Area, but especially like San Jose and San Francisco. And his VP Mike Pence, he supports the Muslim country ban, which he also calls them terrorist countries. He supports reporting illegal immigrants who received hospital treatment, which could cause a lot of harm because it would scare illegal immigrants to get hospital help. And he supports in ending birthright citizenship to prevent more anchor babies. And this could affect a lot of families that come to have their babies here because he believes that they just come here for an illegal status. Now that we have talked about both of these candidates, I want to mention that why it's important to vote for one of these two, especially if you're voting on the Democratic side, and vote for Joe Biden, because if adding another person to the ballot would split the vote and it would increase the chances of Donald Trump re-election.
Okay, so voting, basically there's different ways that you could vote, and a lot of these options could be affected with what's going on with COVID and stuff. So I do suggest that you should contact your county's election office to see or to hear about these changes. Now, one of the ways is voting by person early. So some of the counties do offer this opportunity, which gives you before election day. Now, you can contact your county's election office to see if this is available near you, and this contact information could be found on the Secretary of State's website. Now, voting by mail, you can request the ballot by October 7th of 2020, and USPS has come out and said that they are doing the voting by mail, but that it could take a little longer due to their underfunding. So go vote by mail so you could help fund them. And after you're done, you could return the post marked by mail, or you could return it in person to a county election office or polling office before 8 p.m. by November 3rd of 2020. Now, all of this should be done no later than November 20 of 2020. Vote at polls on election day. So this opens on election day, November 3rd of 2020 by 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now, you could find your polling place in the back of a voter's guide sent by the county. So prior to election day, the county election officials should have mailed you the guide with the polling info. But if they didn't, there's other ways to get that location. You can call 800-345-VOTE or text VOTE to go vote, or go online at www.sos.ca.gov/election/polling place. So go vote if you are at the age to vote. And that concludes our presentation. And thank you to Siren for giving this opportunity for us to be in this program. And thank you to the leaders for giving us a lot of information on immigrant rights, LGBTQ, and thank you so much. And hopefully,
Awesome. Again, just out of the park. Great, great job, everyone. I do want to make a quick clarification. You all are more than welcome to, support whatever candidates you are. I just want to clarify that because Siren is a 501c3, we cannot. So any endorsement you hear from any person here is not a Siren endorsement. I just want to clarify because of our 501c3 status, we cannot endorse any candidates or party. But again, fantastic job. And again, you all are more than welcome to endorse whoever you like. I just wanted to make that clarification. Did anyone have any questions so far? No? Awesome. We're about halfway through. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to Nia's group. I believe it's Nia, Daniela, Betsy, and Mahader. Sorry.
I'm gonna be sharing. So
yeah, you should be able to do so now. Cool. And again, introduce yourself real quick. Your name, school if you go to school, and just what city you're from.
Oh, I can start the introduction.
Wait, I'm so sorry. Can you see my slide?
Yes. We can see the slides.
Okay. Okay, cool. Ignore all the tabs.
Well, okay.
If it's okay with all of you, I'm just gonna do it like this because it's not letting me present for some reason.
Do whatever you need to do. Completely fine.
Okay, just ignore the tabs because there's just so many. Okay, go for it, whoever.
All right. My name is Nia De Jesus. I go to Cal State University Stanislaus. So I live over here in Turlock.
I could go next. My name is Betsy Barba. I'm a first year also at the University of California, Berkeley, and I'm from a local from the Bay Area.
Hi, I live in San Jose. I'm a rising high school junior at MIDI, and my name is Mhadira Klilu, and it's fine.
Hi, my name is Daniela Camacho. I'm a student at Santa Clara University, and I'm from San Jose Bay Area.
All right, so we're going to be starting our presentation. Our presentation today is going to be about, the Black community, immigration, more specifically Black immigrants and ICE. And here we have a picture of a man holding a sign that says, "You want my vote? Say no to deportations." Right, so first, just to start off, some quick facts or points, to keep in mind during this presentation. Black immigrants tend to be erased typically from the conversation of immigration justice, although they are at a greater risk for deportations. Right now, during the COVID-19 pandemic, ICE has been deporting more people than ever before. And it's honestly not a surprise because it's like this very vulnerable time. And I would say why would they attack at this vulnerable time? But as we know, ICE's history, this really isn't a surprise. And currently during the pandemic as well, the majority of people in detention centers are of Haitian ancestry which is Haiti, which are predominantly Black people. And just here I have a little diagram just to better understand how Black immigrants are at a greater risk for deportation. This one's a little, outdated it's like recent in years, but as for the pandemic, because as we said, the majority currently in detention are Haitian or Black. This is from a little while back, but just to show in general, it does show how 7.2% before of non-citizens who were Black. It was 7.2%, and those who were facing deportation on criminal grounds who were Black was at 20.3%. So we could see that really big, difference. The source for this is the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, And just, to clarify, we want to free them all. Our main goal is always free them all, abolish ICE, abolish the system. But, it is important to advocate for all as well, especially Black immigrants who are usually left out of the conversation, and, they deserve people to advocate for them as well. Because as Nico mentioned, I think it was last session, usually we have like this stereotype, immigrants just from southern border, Mexico, but it's really important to consider everyone, to advocate for everyone, and yeah, free them all.
As for this slide, we found some information from the same source that mentioned that when it comes to people that are to immigrants that are Black, they're 6 times more likely to be put into solitary confinement in comparison to other immigrants that are non-Black. And we found some information that's found that bonds for Black immigrants tend to be around 55% higher than the average bond amount, and about 6 times more about. And immigrants that are from countries that are predominantly Black are 6 times more likely to be detained and deported on alleged criminal offenses in comparison to others, because there's others that'll have that'll have get in trouble for the same crime or whatever, and they don't get deported for the same crime.
Okay, so on this slide, as you can see, the handcuffs, kind of like how Nia has stated before, Black immigrants are being detained for criminal offenses, where before it may have, initially through the way that the legal system works, their offenses might have been just a minor infraction, but when it goes through to the legal system that works with immigrants and deportation, it's seen as a larger offense, of a criminal offense. That in that way they can be kind of marked off as somebody who's a criminal, as we hear the president refer to immigrants, and that way they're deemed dangerous and somebody who is not a favorable candidate to be in the country. And that's how they funnel people from prison to immigration detention centers to back to their home country, where they may have been trying to escape for asylum or try to find a new way of life here in the US. So it just says here quick at the bottom, laws such as the 1996 Illegal Immigration Reform and Immigrant Responsibilities were passed, which adds more reasons as to why immigrants could be deported even if they had permanent legal status. So this affects people who already have status in the country, and it can put them back into that funnel that sends them back to the country that they may have been trying to leave in the first place. Due to the over-policing of Black people, much more Black immigrants end up being detained by ICE and deported. And as Betsy has mentioned, those numbers have been climbing through the years, especially now in 2020 COVID time. We're not seeing these things taking place, but they're happening in the background, and more people who are Black immigrants are facing deportation at larger rates at this point in time.
Okay, so because of these massive injustices, as well as the BLM movement outside of detention centers, immigrants inside have been staging many protests, and in different places and in different ways. Can we go to the next slide? So I'm just going to read it, but people in detention centers of all colors and backgrounds have banded together against what one detainee described as corrupt justice systems with corrupt officials. This encapsulates ICE, greater law enforcement, and many other arms of our government. This is a coalition born out of shared hardships. So while most of the immigrants portrayed in media are non-Black or Latino, immigration is very much a Black issue. The BLM movements have invigorated protests within detention centers. So what's been happening is that, according to Lisa Knox, a managing attorney, what they've been noticing is that Black immigrants have been often involved in leadership and organizing on the inside, end quote. And they have been involved in leadership in these protests, strikes, and peaceful resistances before BLM protests as well, and throughout like the history of ICE in general. And this is really important to understand because showing that like these people that are stuck in detention centers have agency, and they are taking their agency and really fighting for what they should be receiving, which is basic human rights.
On this slide, these are different organizations that have news that regard Black immigrants and how you can help the community out. So if you guys have time, like you guys can just take a picture of this and follow it later when you have time.
Yeah, and also like if anyone's interested in like learning about more like bail funds or funds in general, organizations, you could always contact me because I have like a whole list of it that, you know, it didn't all fit onto here. But yeah, if anyone would like more information, you know, my info is on the spreadsheet for many more places that you could help out and help advocate in your communities as well.
Okay, and just really quick, gonna go over the references that we have. We can't talk about immigration without acknowledging Black immigrants. Black immigrants' lives are under attack. We have immigrants at ICE detention facilities, horror or honor Black lives with hunger strike, and US isolated detention immigrants for majority Black countries at high rates studies fine, sorry, that's a mouthful. But yeah, these are some of the resources that we had to kind of help back the information we were finding. And yeah, I highly suggest if you have time to go over the links and just read the articles yourself, just so that you can educate yourself more on this topic. And thank you for listening to this presentation.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And of course, Siren for everything.
Hi. Thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. So we are running a little bit low on time, so I'm going to go ahead and just move on to the next group, and we might have to be a little more strict with the timing. The next group is Alondra, Alejandra, Roger, and Brenda. Are you all here?
Yeah, we are. Alejandra's going to share her screen.
Yep, perfect. You're all set to go. While we wait for the screen to be shared, do you all want to introduce yourselves, city, school, if you're currently attending?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Brenda. I'm a third year at San Jose State University, and I live in Santa Rosa, California.
Hey everyone, I'm Roger, and I'm a second year at UCLA.
Hi, I'm Alondra. Hi, I'm Alondra. I'm a second year at UCLA.
Hi everyone. My name is Alejandra. I'm from Redwood City, and I'm an incoming third year at UCLA. So we wanted to do our presentation on the prison industrial complex and connected to immigrant rights, specifically on like why we should abolish ICE, why we should abolish prisons, because of everything going on. Currently, we have this whole movement towards abolishment. We've been having this movement, but I feel like it's recently gotten a lot of attention. So we thought that it would be fit to highlight it. So we wanted to start off by defining the problem. So what is mass incarceration? Basically, despite only making 5% of the world's population, the US has nearly 25% of the world's prison population. And since 1970, our prison population has increased by 700%. Let that sink in.
despite there being a decrease in crime. So although crime rates are decreasing, incarceration rates are heightening. What is the prison industrial complex? Essentially, for-profit prisons are now a roughly $4 billion a year American industry. The rapid expansion of the US inmate population is due to the political influence and the power of private prison companies and the businesses that supply their goods and services to make profit off of the incarceration of Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And so this is a neat image that really highlights how incarceration has become this whole industry. How are BIPOC folks and immigrants impacted by these systems? Black, Indigenous people and people of color are stopped by police and incarcerated at disproportionate rates. A Black person is 5 times more likely to be stopped without a just cause than a white person. 65% of Black adults have felt targeted by the criminal justice system because of their race. So this has had indeed a very disproportionate impact. Not only do we see that by the race, but also by the way that the Black population has felt that they've been targeted by these systems. How are BIPOC folks and immigrants impacted by these systems? Again, detention centers are privately run prisons that profit off of the exploitation of undocumented folks living in poor conditions. Private companies like Core Civic and GEO Group build and operate prisons at a lower cost than the government can. And in order to maximize profit, private prison companies minimize expenditures at the cost of the livelihoods of detained folks. So they serve barely edible food, offer poor health care, and detained people are subject to guard brutality.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, actually.
Okay, great. So I'm frozen on my end, but I still have the slides and hopefully you can hear me. So really what we're gonna do is I'm gonna compare the administrations. So I'm comparing Obama and Trump. You know, when we're talking about immigration and immigration, like, you know, in the United States, we can't, you know, overlook the Obama administration and what he has done with that, you know, with immigration in the US. So the Obama administration has nearly deported over 2 million people over the span of 8 years. And in his first 3 years, he deported nearly 1.18 million. And in 2012 alone, he deported 409,849 people. The Trump administration, although he hasn't, you know, exceeded that amount, just because Obama did, you know, he has a record-breaking amount of people that he did deport under his administration, although Trump hasn't, again, exceeded that amount. His administration is, of course, a lot more tough on immigration. And speaking about incarceration, he has jailed 50,000 people in 2018, and that was under the authority of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And, you know, that was the most foreigners held in immigration detention in U.S. history. And so with that, ICE has detained more than 52,500 immigrants in a day, sprawling a network of more than 200 detention centers across the country, from 34,000 under the Obama administration. So again, he is harsher in the ways that he addresses immigration. In 2017, the average length stay at any one immigration prison or jail was 34 days, compared to 22 days in 2016 and 21 days in 2015. And again, these are just comparisons among the administrations, although Trump hasn't exceeded that amount. Obama's deportation amount, excuse me, he is harsher, his administration is harsher, and we do know that if he does get reelected, it will only worsen.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what abolition actually is. And abolition seeks to create a society that is free from prisons and police, and instead provides a new way of safety. So it differs from reform because reform kind of means that the system is broken and there's something you can fix. So abolition wants to just get rid of the program completely, and it's recently become popularized in the media because of the Black Lives Matter movement. However, it's been in the lips of activists for years. And the next slide is, what do we mean when we say defund the police? So basically, a lot of organizations have different things that they mean. Some people want it reformed, some people want it abolished, but I focus more on 8 to abolition, which aims to take money away from the police budget and to instead reinvest that money into communities affected by over-policing. And to defund the police, the first step we need to take is to oppose any budget increases and then to keep cutting to make the biggest budget cuts we can make towards police until we get that budget to zero. So in terms of what you can do, you can show up to city council meetings with a group of friends or other activists, or look in your city if there's already organizations that are established on working towards that. You can also go to school board meetings and ask for cops to get removed from schools, because a lot of schools do have cops. And yeah, you can just join other organizations like Care Not Cops and help, or like take lessons from them to help bring their work into your own city. And you can just bring attention to these topics by posting on Instagram or just talking to friends about it.
And lastly, we have local and general resources to help those directly impacted. One organization is Healing Hearts Restoring Hope, and it helps formerly incarcerated individuals re-enter life as they are released from prison, and helps them heal from past traumas, and also helps families of those affected by homicide for them to heal. Another thing that is very universal, local rapid response networks. They help inform immigrants of their rights and also helps those that are detained by ICE, so they can provide like legal aid, and also sometimes you can sign up to see if the organization can send you messages if ICE is in your area. And additionally, you can also search up the public law center in your city for free or low cost legal help. And with that, that concludes our presentation.
Awesome, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and move right along for time's sake to Rosa, Heidi, and Diana's group. Are you all here?
Yes.
Awesome. You're set to share, and if you can again introduce yourselves, school, and city.
All right, can everyone see my screen?
It says loading.
Okay.
But it looks, yeah. There we go.
All right, so hi everyone, my name is Rosa Espinosa. I am from Riverdale, California, and I'm a senior at Riverdale High School.
Hi. Sorry. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'm Haiti. I'm from Oakland, and I go to Oakland Unity High, and I'm a senior.
All right, so I'm Diana, and I'm a senior at Cal High in San Ramon.
I'm Joe High School.
All right, so today we're gonna talk to you guys about injustice in immigrant court cases. The injustices of immigration stretch out into the courts of the United States. Many factors like judges, representation, bias, and prejudice can influence the court cases of immigrants as young as 3 years old.
All right, so did you know that deportation hearings in court could be affected by who the judge is, as well as the location of the hearing? So let's take a story, for example. There was 200 women with similar backgrounds, and they applied for asylum due to gang violence in their home countries after being taken into custody in Texas. Their cases, however, were heard in 2 different locations, San Francisco, California, and Charlotte, North Carolina. The judge who heard the woman's case in Charlotte typically ordered immigrants to be deported 89% of the cases that they hear. And the judge who heard the woman's case in San Francisco calls for deportation in 43% of the cases heard. So as a result, both of the hearings resulted in different outcomes. The woman from San Francisco was allowed to stay, and the woman from Charlotte was ordered to be deported and had to get her case reopened. So in the map on the right, what's it called? In the map on the right, I noted a few different locations. So the two cities I just mentioned, San Francisco and Charlotte, North Carolina, I put their average deportation rate hearings for when they're in court. So San Francisco, California has a 36% deportation rate, and North Carolina has an 84% deportation rate. Two other major cities, New York and Atlanta, Georgia. So New York has a 24% deportation rate in their hearings, and Atlanta, Georgia has an 89%. So while my map is mainly focusing on locations, it really matters with the judge too. So I look at some data, and the judge with the highest deportation rates was Rex J. Ford in Pompano Beach, Florida, with a 97% deportation rate. Take another judge in Phoenix, Arizona, with a 28% deportation rate. So the story of the 2 Honduran woman is not the only of its kind. In fact, many immigrants have similar cases, but because of the location and the judge, it'll likely affect their chances of staying. And one last thing, there could be 2 different judges in the same city, and they could have a different bias.
So now for immigrant children in court cases. In the US, thousands of immigrant children have to represent themselves in court cases that would determine their legal status in this country. The problem, children as young as 3 years old are forced to represent themselves in immigration courts. An attorney has years of experience, making it illogical to expect a child to defend themselves in court. How does it work? Immigration courts are considered to be civil courts. This means that an attorney would not be guaranteed to unaccompanied children. An attorney would only be provided in a criminal court. How does this happen? Children are detained under zero tolerance, which is known to be a cause for the separation of families. Adults immigrated with children are targeted more than adults traveling by themselves. As for deportation percentages based on representation by an attorney, for unrepresented children, meaning that they're not represented by an attorney, 80% of them are deported. As for represented children, only 12% of them are deported.
Some people think immigrants and criminal courts are the same, but there's a clear difference about them. The criminal court is part of the U.S. judicial branch, while the immigrant court is part of the U.S. Department of Justice, also known as DOJ. The only cases that are ruled by an immigration judge is immigration courts. Jury can only judge criminal courts. Immigration courts must abide, in other words, stick to federal laws, and the criminal courts are based on state laws.
How prejudice is dealt with in court. Because judges have lots of cases, they tend to just observe immigrants' race, age, country of origin, religion, or gender. Of 28 immigrant judges that have been selected, 16 were former ICE prosecutors. Analysis found this makes them 23% more likely to order deportation. 40% of immigrants don't have lawyers. However, having a lawyer may not matter because white educated immigrants can gain the court's sympathy. Judges who try to suppress their bias try to picture an exemplar of the group who they think highly of. Some examples have been judges picturing President Obama or Nelson Mandela when tensing up next to a large African American male in court. The justice system has enforced mandatory anti-bias for law enforcement and court officials and has stated 28,000 more employees would attend these sessions.
Take action and vote for your elected officials. Know who you are voting for. Vote in the upcoming elections.
And something else that you could take action in is educating those around you. So make sure that immigrants and others in your community know their constitutional rights.
That's all, folks. Thank you for viewing our slides.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There's lots of like insanely like different points that I don't think we could have ever covered in our other sessions. We're going to go ahead and move on. Jocelyn and Dayanara, are you all both here? And are you ready to go now, or did you want me to call on you later?
We can go now. I'll want to share.
Okay, yeah. Awesome. And while you share, I don't know, Dayanara, if you want to introduce yourself, name, school, a city, or schools that you may have attended.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Dayanara. I am from Clovis and I attend Clovis High School and I'm a sophomore.
And I'm Jocelyn Lombera and I'm a recent graduate from UC Berkeley and I was born and raised in Redwood City, California.
So this is our agenda, the issues and effects of farm workers and getting involved. The health issues of farm workers, they risk their lives on the daily with a weather of 100 through 110, and risk getting skin cancer and other health issues. They get exposed to pesticides, and some of those, like pesticides, cause health issues. Due to the coronavirus, all of the California fires, they're dying because of shortness of breath and the smoke in their lungs, and they can't breathe and other symptoms. And this picture shows the weather and what the farmers go through. Work equipment, the fields that the farmers work in don't show how to stay safe. They need masks to stay safe and away from the coronavirus or the smoke that there's in California and all the pesticides. They also need to wear proper clothing, but the owners of the fields don't train their workers or care about their work health or our performance. Their wages, due to the California fires and COVID pandemic, farm workers don't get hazard pay. All the farmers and essential workers don't get proper pay either. They work more than 12 hours a day. They get paid by the product they pick. They risk their lives in getting paid little. They receive the little pay they receive to provide to their loved ones. They pay taxes overall, and they have to stop working sometimes to take care of their loved ones.
Okay, thank you, Dana. So now I'm going to talk about how we can get involved and some of the ways that we can make change. So before I talk, I wanted to share a quote with you guys that I found throughout my research. It's a quote by Cesar Chavez, and it says, "Farm workers are involved in the planting and the cultivation and the harvesting of the greatest abundance of food known in the society. They bring in so much food to feed you and me and the whole country, and enough food to export to other places. The ironic thing and the tragic thing is that after they make this tremendous contribution, they don't have any money or any food left for or themselves." And I thought that that was a crazy thing that, you know, this was said in the late 1960s, and this is an issue that we're still facing. So I think that there has been progress has been made, but still much more progress needs to be done. So the first thing that I said that I listed is to donate. Right now, especially with the fires, there are a lot of organizations that are organizing donations, and I have included a slide with some examples of where you can donate to. The other thing is to pressure your local politicians, especially for folks who live in those counties where there are farm workers, and talk about the hazard pay. So one thing about hazard pay is that according to the Department of Labor, this is something that I had to look up myself. Hazard pay is additional pay for performing hazardous duty of work involving physical hardship. Work duty that causes extreme physical discomfort and distress, which is not adequately elevated by protective devices, is deemed to impose a physical hardship. So the Fair Labor Standards Act does not include hazard pay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that act. And these farm workers are excluded from hazard pay. So that's one of the things that you can ask for your local politicians. What are they being done? And if not hazard pay, what are some other alternatives? The other thing is to call the OSHA. What OSHA is a government agency that basically is supposed to make sure that workers have all the work equipment and that they are working in just conditions. Now, enforcement is another thing, whether they do a good job enforcing or not. But basically, you can call OSHA, and I have a link there in case you guys want me to share the PowerPoint with you. I have the link there, and each district in California has an officer that enforces those requirements. And that is one way that you can just say, hey, like, I noticed that this farm doesn't give their workers the mass that they need. What is being done about that? So that's one way that you can be done, that can be done. So you can check out that link and look at their phone numbers. The other thing too is join or support grassroots organizations. For example, joining Siren through the Youth Fellow, or even supporting grassroots organizations. It means so much when you follow them and share their posts because they put so much work into it, and they might not have the same big presence as big national organizations. So it truly means a lot that you guys support them and come out to their events. And I've included some grassroots organizations as well. Also, I don't know if I'm over time because I can't see in the chat. So am I over time?
Yeah, you can, if you're close to finishing, you can go ahead and finish off.
Oh, dang, okay. I have so much information. So these are some examples of where to donate. This is Siren. Another is in DocuFund. This fund has been going on for a couple of years, actually, and they help immigrants in Sonoma County. And basically, they've been there for immigrants during COVID, and now they're setting the fund again for folks who are helping with the fires. Okay, this was my favorite part, policy recommendations. I'm so sad that I can't go in depth because it was so interesting. But basically, the labor policy recommendations, there's the NLRA. What that is that it gives workers the rights to bargain. This policy was created in 1930s, which means that by that time, they purposely excluded agricultural workers because at that time it was mostly folks from the Black community. So that still continues, that exclusion for agriculture continues today, so they might not have the same protections. But California has their own kind of law to that, but still with like outside of California, other farm workers don't have that. In regards to immigration policy recommendations, they have done this before. They try to pass the agricultural worker program grant, which is basically that farm workers are supposed to get a blue card and a green card. This has passed 2 times. It has not even gone to the House. And I think right now could be a good chance to try to pass a policy again, because this is a good, basically political opportunity. With the fires and COVID, it's literally in people's faces. And with also kind of November coming up, this is a good chance to get this policy out there again, the 3rd time. So here's some social media accounts that I listed. Some of my favorites are Brown Issues. For folks who are in high school, check out if your colleges have it. They're pretty awesome to give you like Latinx students opportunities to organize. Here's some other organizations as well. Also, please feel free to drop down social media accounts. I want to make this interactive, so feel free to drop it down in the chat and to kind of share that information out there. So thank you, and keep fighting for better equitable future for our communities. I know we all are going to keep doing that because you guys are here. And yes, thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we only have a couple of groups left. And I know we are going to go over time, but I want to ask that if you can stay, I know some of you cannot, but if you can, to please stay on and give everyone the respect of watching their presentations. Again, we only have a handful of presentations left. However, because I did get a few messages about some people that do have meetings after this, I wanted to take a quick break. We're going to come back to presentations, but I want to show you all some celebration stuff that we had prepared, because I'd love for everyone to be able to take part in the celebrations. So again, if you haven't presented, do not worry. We're going to be right back to it. Just want to go ahead and share this with all of you. So I went ahead and made a quick video commemorating some of our sessions, and some of you all made an appearance, so I'm going to go ahead and play that. Quick disclaimer, I got the premium version and it still wouldn't let me take the watermark off of the top, bottom right, so just FYI. Can you all see this?
Like the moments leading to like the internment of like Japanese folks, I think that's something that like people don't really talk about.
There's been a lot of issues because there's been some companies like Nestle that have been really trying to like slowly take over like the land in a ways, and well, they are.
Both of my parents are undocumented, and when I was 8 years old, my dad was deported. I mention that because I know it's usually probably a shock for some people because I am a white passing individual.
More counselors, not cops. That's been going around. Like, we need more counselors to adhere to students' needs. We also need to stop having like military recruitments on campus, and that's something that I personally wouldn't have on my imaginary school.
So I was undocumented for about 20 plus years. My whole life, I was before there was DACA or anything of that. There was a lot more difficult ways for us to go to college.
So I just wanted to share that with you all today. Here we go. So you could see it. I'm not a video editor, so it was something that I wanted to throw together real quick to remind you all of some of the things that we experienced. Again, we're going to go back to presentations. I don't want anyone to freak out. We're not forgetting you, but we did prepare something special for you all. Oh, shoot. To be able to take a quick picture. So if you look at chat, go ahead, click the link. We made a virtual background for you all. So if you want to go ahead and put the virtual background on so we can take a group picture, we can go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and change mine. And if you don't know how to do it, right next to your video button, it's going to say choose virtual. You can click on the up arrow and it's going to say choose virtual background. So in that section where you can go ahead and share your screen. And then when you're in the choose virtual background on the top right, you can click add image or video. So after you download the image, you can go ahead and put it. I see some people already have it up. I was super excited about this. I don't know if you can tell. Let's see.
For the background thing, it's like best if you go to like if you have like a blank wall behind you, because if you have anything behind it, it like messes it up.
Yeah. So you get the, I sent the link in here. Oops, sorry. I sent it only to Dayanara. Sorry. I just sent the link again. So yeah, if you're able to share your screen and kind of put it up like that, we can take a group picture with everyone. Because I know some people have to leave. And then at the end of the session, after the next couple groups go, we'll go ahead and have a little debrief. I'm going to take there we go. Awesome. Well, for those of you who are able to have it, I see that Daniela having a few issues with it showing up, but it's okay. Yeah, we just wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone before some of you have to leave. And, you know, thank you for showing up. And I hope, obviously, this doesn't make up for not necessarily being in person, but, you know, you're part of the Siren family, and we're super, super excited to have you continue to join us. If you wish to do so, we'll be sending out more information on the year-round youth program. You all look super lovely with your backgrounds on. I wonder where you got it. But yeah, I took a couple of screenshots to post on our Instagram to show all your beautiful faces. And feel free to do so as well and post it on your Instagram if you want. And if you do so, go ahead and tag Siren. Awesome. So I want to share that with you all because I know some people unfortunately have to hop off, but we are still going to go right back into. Oh yeah, I did take them, but we'll go ahead and put these back on, or I mean, you can keep them on. So Vani, you only send a message to me. I don't know if you were trying to send it to everyone. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and keep going with the presentations, and we'll have a little bit debrief after. Sound good? Awesome. I'm not sharing my screen, right? Okay. So the next group is gonna be Paula and Kathy. Are you all here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me turn on my light for a second, and I'll be the one sharing.
Awesome. And then while you go ahead and share your screen, if you all want to introduce yourselves, again, we only have a handful of groups left.
I'm Kathy, and I go to Cupertino High School.
Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Paula Escobar, and I am a junior now at Vermilion Valley High School in San Jose.
I'm a freshman.
So our presentation is on mental health in the immigrant community. And before we start our presentation, just want to put out a content warning that our presentation does mention sexual assault and human trafficking. So please feel free to step out of the video call and mute off your camera, whatever makes you feel comfortable. And if you have to stop any time, please let us know. So with
So children of color are 3 times less likely to receive mental health treatment, and adults of color are 2 times less likely to receive mental health treatment.
So with those implications in mind, we can connect this on a broader perspective on how this may impact immigrants. So here we have some statistics. 56% of refugees report having experienced some form of torture. 60% of women experience sexual violence entering the United States from Latin America. And it's important to keep in mind, as with ICE and the detention centers, that they don't have a lot of equitable resources, they don't have access to things such as tampons, pads, other menstrual products for women. And on top of that, they're gonna have to deal with officers who may harass them, and they have absolutely no say or have any ability to stop them when they're in this dynamic where the officers are in an obvious position of power. And the next statistic is that 34% of first-generation immigrant parents experience some form of trauma. So all these experiences together, you can kind of understand how coming to the United States is really hard for a lot of families, and they're not doing it just for themselves. And when you have these traumas, they develop and they or continue be part of impacting your life and may lead to the development of mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, or PTSD.
So some additional risk factors is mental health is like actively ignored in the immigrant community and is discouraged to reach out. And they are also reluctant due to the fear of their immigrational status or cost of high treatment. And even if they do get high treatment, it is challenging for immigrants who can't speak English because it is hard to express their emotions. And even if there is like a translator, like there's not like a very strong cultural understanding for like cultural context. And they are also missing the sense of home, and they feel like they don't really belong, so they don't have a clear identity about who they are. They also don't have they also have lack of dysfunctional support, which leads to dysfunctional behaviors such as domestic violence. They also have traumatic experience such as sexual trauma, physical trauma, or like trauma from separating with their family.
So when we go into possible solutions, it's important to recognize that all of this is an underlying problem with the system, how we detain immigrants and how America views immigrants as kind of the scapegoat for everything bad happening within our country. So some possible solutions are training professionals to acknowledge cultural and racial differences and then deliver care empathetically. Misdiagnosing and also just making microaggressions within the healthcare system are very common, and they definitely deter people of color from receiving the care that they need. Another way of addressing these needs is increasing awareness and informing immigrants of possible available treatments, and also hiring people of color to work in mental health services and the medical field overall is super important because no one else is going to understand people of color more than, of course, other fellow people of color. And enforcing non-disclosure agreements and protections within the medical field is really important. As you may know, privacy is something that's really important to keep, especially regarding immigration status. That's a really big fear that a lot of immigrant families have over receiving health care. And so enforcing these agreements and making sure that these people are protected is really important. So thank you for listening to our presentation. While we have we presented to you some long-term solutions, we have also made some resources. And let me see if I can exit this slideshow. So we made the resource guides, one's in Spanish and one's in English. So we're hoping that it would be accessible and address the language barrier. And let's wait for it to load. We've tried getting in other languages, but within like the time limit, there wasn't a lot to get in through, but here's the English one. Hi. So thank you once again for listening to our presentation.
Awesome job. Thank you so much. Definitely, I know Connie mentioned in chat that she's glad that y'all are talking about this topic. I think it's something that's overlooked a lot, but that we're starting to, become more aware of, right? Awesome. So moving on, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Kenya, Italia, and Jai. I know I'm going to be sharing your presentation for you all. So go ahead and do that now.
I can do it if you want.
Oh, you're able to now?
Yeah.
Go ahead. And then again, please introduce yourself, school, and city. And I have to say, I really like the backgrounds, not to toot my own horn, but looking really good.
Actually, can you share yours? Mine isn't
Yeah.
working. I don't know why.
No worries. Let me go ahead and share. And Connie, I think that's just how it looks for you. I think it inverses for everyone else because that's how mine is doing as well. All right. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and take it from here.
I'm Jay. I'm a high school senior from Silver Creek High School in San Jose.
My name is Kenya. I'm from San Jose, and I am a second year at Stan State.
My name is Italia. I also live in San Jose, and I'm a senior at KIPP San Jose Collegiate.
Oh, our topic is California fires. So this year has been really tough for California because of all the fires, and it's been reported that there have been over 7,000 fires across just California that have reached an area of over 1.4 million acres. And there's people from Kansas, like firefighters from all the way over there and other states that actually come over to California to help put the fires out. And this is one of the most active fire seasons. And it's mostly because of climate change. I know that there's been a lot of strong winds that kind of carry that along and spread it faster. Yeah.
Okay, and from these images, especially ones on the left, you could see how where the fires are spreading. So it's literally all across California, and there's some little bits of like colors in there that show how the smoke forecast for the day. So like the quality, the air quality, and in the middle, it's kind of like a legend or a key for the one in the right that show like how good or even how bad the air quality is. So you could see like around the San Jose area that it's really unhealthy.
Air quality. So the normal particulate matter, which is PM, is 2.5. However, now it's, 2.5 is now the normal particulate matter in the Bay Area. But that's 5 times the daily average that was set by the Environmental Protection Agency. The local air pollution agencies are issuing health alerts for healthy people and people who have pre-existing health conditions. However, what's very concerning is that healthy people are reporting headaches, bloody noses, and breathing trouble.
So along with the fires, obviously we're going through a pandemic right now, and it started around mid-March to April. And with that, every state has been giving out regulations like wearing a mask, not going out if it's not necessary. And there's a lot of symptoms that go along with it that have hit people really hard. And we also have a lot of high temperatures. I think the hottest temperature in California has been reported to be 130 degrees. But yeah, we are still in summer, so it's gonna be hot for a while. So just as a refresher, this goes along with the idea of environmental justice. And as a refresher, according to Wikipedia, environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. So I guess the idea is just like, it's to develop things, it's for the developments of multiple things in multiple areas that don't negatively impact people, but its emphasis is on regardless of race or income.
So who's most impacted? Of course, people of color and immigrants are more impacted, but the sub-communities in that have been impacted the hardest. Those include laborers, those with no health care/benefits, the undocumented population, workers who are exposed to harsh chemicals and pesticides working in factories, people with pre-existing health conditions, marginalized communities such as Latinx and Indigenous, and people who learn English as a second language, as well as the farm workers who have to work with the masks on during heat waves with fires right next to them.
So these are just some testimonies from people who are working right now, and they're right by the fires in Central Valley, which is really affected right now. So the first one is by Briseida Flores. She's 19. Her father, he lost his job, and so she had to step in for him. I remember from her story that she had to start working like around 3:30 a.m. to 4 a.m. And she knows that, or she said that by 10:30 it was super hot, and she just remembers very vividly that her jeans were soaking with sweat, and it was only 10:30, so it was gonna get hotter.
Next, there's Leonor Hernandez. She's 38 and she's a mother of 3, and some symptoms she was having was chest and head pain. And a vivid quote I remember from her testimony was, "But we need to work. And if we stay indoors, we don't get paid. We have bills for food and rent to pay."
Thirdly, we have Laura Villagram, and she said, all you want to do is shower, cook, and stay cool, but you can't.
Next, we have Jose Rodriguez, and his testimony was, if they don't work, they're not going to make it through the year.
And then the last testimony was by Alejandro Diaz, who said that his life was worth more than another round of grapes. And that's really important because a lot of people don't realize that the system is exploiting them for their work, and they don't even get paid. They're the ones who do everything, and we don't appreciate them enough. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Awesome. That was great. Yeah. And I think, like Connie mentioned, the testimonies really, they hit different. Awesome. We're going to go ahead move on to the next set of presenters, which are Rosie and Mary. Are you all on?
Hi, everyone. Nico, I believe you're going to share our presentation through email.
Yeah, I think I just saw it, right? Okay. I got it right here. Go ahead. Awesome. And if you all can go ahead and just introduce yourselves and school, city.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rosie Hernandez, and I am a third-year student at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA. I am originally from Watts, California, but now stay in Riverside.
Hey everybody, I am Mary Hernandez.
You're muted right now.
So we didn't hear you.
Were you able to hear my introduction?
Yeah, just not Mary.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Mary Hernandez. I go to Moreno Valley College. I'm from Watts, California, and stay in Riverside.
Okay, so now let's begin. Our presentation will be dedicated to life as an undocumented individual, titled Living Undocumented. For the outline, first we're going to be discussing language barrier, and then we'll be discussing housing, food, and income insecurity, followed along by fear of deportation and family separation. We'll be closing with know your rights, and ending with resources.
So one of the first challenges undocumented people go through is the language barrier. They have difficulty learning and speaking English. Immigrants leave their homeland to live in a new country where they are unable to communicate with others. They have hardships communicating in their everyday lives, like at work, school, and even at the store. English service learning classes are available, but are not attainable for many because of cost. Most English learning classes are not free, and also time. Many folks have little to no free time because they have double jobs and have too many responsibilities. So the language barrier gets in the way of security, which creates housing, food, and income insecurity. They have difficult time finding jobs. Due to not having a social security number, immigrants are often excluded from high-paying jobs, which forces them to take low-wage jobs that often discriminate them for not knowing English. Also, they're unaware of their rights, and because of that, it's easier for employers to take advantage of them. And since their income is low, many live paycheck to paycheck, and affordable housing is inexpensive. Not being able to pay for their housing, they often share their house with family members and friends in tight spaces, causing a stressful environment, which is not good for resting or studying. Undocumented people live with a constant fear of deportation. Without citizenship status, undocumented folks are at risk of being deported. There is some legal protections against deportation that immigrants can apply to, like temporary protected status, TPS, deferred action for childhood arrivals, DACA, visas, and green cards. Because of the fear of deportation, undocumented folks don't seek help when they need legal guidance or when they suffer from discrimination. Many whom are exposed to violence, rape, and torture. They cannot seek mental health assistance either, without being discriminated against or stigmatized. And then also, they also face family separation. Children keep being separated from their parents because of deportation. They aren't allowed to grow with their families. The children being separated at the border are being labeled as unaccompanied minors and are being put into foster care, government custody, or even disappearing when they, in fact, do have a family.
So, everybody has guaranteed rights under the United States Constitution, regardless of your immigration status. So then, what do we do when we encounter ICE, also known as Immigration Customs Enforcement? Let's know your rights. If ICE knocks at your door, do not open the door. Because if you do, you are giving ICE consent to enter your home. Si ICE entra a su casa, no abre la puerta, porque si lo hace, le está dando permiso a ICE que entre a su casa. Number 2, you have the right to remain silent, even if the officer has a warrant. Usted tiene el derecho de mantener callado, aun si el oficial tiene un orden de deportación o arresto. 3, you have the right to speak to a lawyer. Don't say or sign any documents without a lawyer or legal representation. 3, tiene el derecho de hablar con un abogado. No firme nada ni diga nada sin un abogado presente. Also, it is important to know the differences between an ICE warrant and a judicial warrant. Es importante saber la diferencia sobre un orden judicial y una orden de deportación. An ICE warrant of removal/deportation, also known as Form I-205, located on the left side of the screen, does not, I repeat, does not give ICE agents permission to enter your home without consent. A judicial warrant, could be seen on the right side, is an official court document, usually signed by a judge. Both police and ICE need a judicial warrant to enter your home. And then the next slide, it's the same thing, just in Spanish. La orden de remoción o deportación de ICE, también conocido como formulario I-205, no da permiso a los agentes de ICE entrar a su hogar sin permiso. Una orden judicial es un documento oficial de la corte, generalmente firmado por un juez. Tanto la policía como ICE necesitan una orden judicial para entrar a su casa. Now, if ICE is at the workplace, you have same rights. One, you should always remain silent. Don't say anything, even if the officer has a warrant. Two, you also have the right to speak to a lawyer. Don't sign any documents without a lawyer present. You can always say, I wish to speak to my lawyer. Si la migra entra a su trabajo, recuerde mantener callado. No diga nada. Si el agente tiene un documento judicial o de deportación, todavía mantenga callado. Usted también tiene el derecho de hablar con un abogado. No firma ni diga nada sin un abogado presente. And then on the right, I wanted to, I have a little postcard that folks could print out and you could give to your family members, you could give to your mom, you could give to your friends, whoever's undocumented, you could have it yourself even. You could print it out. It was produced by the National Immigration Law Center, also known as NILC. Basically, it's just a form of know your rights and what you could say to an immigration officer. And now we would like to end by a bunch of resources that we found.
So one resource is the American Civil Liberties Union, ACL. It defends and protects individuals' rights and liberties, aims to fulfill the purpose of the US Constitution for all and expand the reach of its guarantees. And the Instagram is at ACLU_nationwide. Another resource will be the Central American Research Center of Los Angeles. Gaddison aims to change an unjust immigration system, win legal status for immigrants, and foster community activism on issues such as education, reform, workers, and immigrant rights, economic justice, and community strengthening. And the Instagram is at Gaddison_La. And then Twitter at Gaddison_La, and then Facebook at Gaddison.la. And then another one will be the Coalition of Human Immigration Rights. Chila, a nonprofit organization that serves and protects the immigrant community in 11 locations, like Los Angeles, South Central, Compton, Downtown LA office, Central Valley, San Bernardino, Sacramento, Washington, D.C., Orange County, San Fernando Valley. And the Instagram is at Chila_org, Twitter at Chila, and that's it.
Also, we found Immigrants Rising. It is a nonprofit organization that empowers undocumented young people to achieve educational and career goals through personal, institutional, and policy transformation. In fact, one of my professors from UCLA that gave a labor studies course is, she's in charge of Immigrants Rising, and she is lovely, she is friendly, she will give you resources. I totally recommend. Their Instagram is at Immigrants Rising. Another organization that we found was Informed Immigrant. It's actually a website full of resources for undocumented immigrants. It's operated by nationally immigrant serving lawyers, organizations, technologists, and allies. Their Instagram could be found at informed_immigrant. We also, of course, we have to mention Siren, Services, Immigrant Rights, and Education Network. They aim to empower low-income immigrants and refugees through community education and organizing, leadership development, policy advocacy, civic engagement, and legal services. Instagram, if you're not following them already, go follow them, Siren_immigrants.
And then more resources will be the United Farm Workers, UFW, the nation's first farm workers union, started in 1962 by Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, Gilbert Padilla, and other organizations to protect farm workers from pesticides and establishment immigration reform. The Instagram is at UFW Updates. And lastly but not least, we have the United We Dream, one of the largest immigrant youth-led community in the US. Through their website and organization, undocumented immigrants can find the support and resources they need. Their Instagram is United We Dream.
And that's how we will end our presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in.
Awesome, thank you so much. We have 2 more presentations left. That was fantastic. Let me go ahead. Next up is Jasmine.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, yeah, you can go ahead and share whenever you're ready.
I don't have the option to. Oh, never mind. I found it.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay, there we go.
You can just go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Okay, so my name is Jasmine. I am from and go to school in Fresno State, California University. And this is my presentation. Okay, so I'm going to be talking, let me see. Oh, I can't make it bigger, but I'm going to be talking about.
If you go ahead and press present right next to share.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about unequal pay for working immigrant women. So I wanted to talk about the gender wage gap. So normally men are often paid more for the same job that women do, but for undocumented workers, it has been even less than what it is. So if you see here, U.S. workers make 77 cents, and then neutralized workers make 75, and then undocumented make 71%. So women experience both race and gender wage gap that reflects the intersectional reality of their daily lives. And then working women work longer hours and pursue higher education in greater numbers. However, despite this process, wage gaps between men and women are still present. Okay, so here's some data. So year-round, women lose $10,000 every year to a coworker, which is normally, this is also comparing to just American workers as well, also including men, and then which over a 40-year span, they lose $400,000. And then here are just some statistics. So the American Indian, Asian women, Hispanic, they all lose a great amount of money. All right, so what causes the wage gap? Differences in industries or jobs worked, differences in years of experience. So normally women tend to have, they have babies, so they go on maternity leave, which also creates the opportunity to work less often, which affects the way that they are paid, and as well as discrimination. So how to fix the wage gap? Increase education in women, unionizing, and combating discrimination, as well as just being aware of the equal pay legislations. And this is my works cited page, which concludes my presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. This is such an important topic, and I know we touched about it briefly during, I think, our economics portion. But yeah, thank you for going into, further.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We're down to our last group. I know I received an email from you, Jessica, earlier about having some issues getting on. I don't know if the rest of your group is here, Hector and Elizabeth. Anyone here? Okay, I'm gonna take that as a no. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and close out the program. Let me go ahead and share my screen for the last time for this program. Thank you all, first of all, for sticking with us. I know we went longer than we typically do, but we're really, really thankful that you did. And just want to remind you all that the application for the Youth Fellowship is open until, I believe, this Sunday. So go ahead and apply if you're interested. Our youth organizing position is also available. So if you or anyone you know is interested in applying, go ahead and send your resume and cover letter to hr@siren-bayarea.org. As always, you're more than welcome to reach out to myself or anyone else at Siren with any questions you may have. Whether it be about this program or not, or if you are looking for mentorship or looking for someone to talk to you about immigrant refugee rights, anything that we can help you with here at Siren, we're more than happy to do so. Other than that, I don't know if any of you had any last questions or last things that you want to share before we hop off. Real quick, I saw that Betsy, Rip Chadwick Boseman, create entire era. I'm not too sure who that is, but definitely rest in power.
Try to play the Black Panther.
Oh, I didn't see that movie. That's definitely not it's not great news. I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, I'm trying to read chat at the same time. From Jennifer, do you know when we'll know if we got accepted into the fellowship or not? I think it says on there, but it's a full week after. So we're gonna be reading all the different applications that we receive and then contacting some people back. But we will definitely let you know if you did not receive it as well, so you're not up in the air. Thank you so much thank you, Daniela, for for sticking with us. Much Nico. Oh, y'all are so nice. Yes. Let's see. Amazing friends. I'm glad that you made some friends with this program as well. I don't know if anyone had any other questions or anything else to say before we go ahead and hop off. Thank you so much for our information, my great people. Awesome. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the program. Keep an eye on your emails. Please fill out the form for the stipends, for those of you in the stipend program. And just generally because, we're going to be sending you out some shirts and some goodies along with a certificate proving that you completed this course. For those of you who joined us consistently, thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you so much, Nico. Good night, everyone.
No problem. And I will send out the information on the YouTube channel because I know some people asked. It's on the syllabus, but I'll send it out.
Bye. Thank you so much.
No problem. Good
Bye.
night.
Good to see you guys.
Bye.
Bye. It was nice virtually meeting you all. Take care.
You as well.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Take care.